Hey there! Welcome back to another live stream. Once again, I'm going solo. We'll see how this goes. As you can see by the title, I'm going to be delving into the bizarre world of Neil Breen, and I'm also going to be talking about some equally bizarre one-star reviews for classic films from the Internet Movie Database. I'll also answer some questions and things like that from you guys who decided to join in on this stream. Um, I know for some of you it might be a little late in the day, so I know not everyone is going to be able to join in. For anyone who might be wondering, I did ask Matt what he's doing, and sounds like he's busy. So I would definitely invite him on if he has time, but for right now, it's just gonna be good old OCP. Hey there, uh, Monoval. And once again, to anyone who's joining in, thanks for dropping by. Now, the bizarre world of Neil Breen. Okay, now that is something that is definitely a difficult thing to make sense of. Um, I really don't know what to say about about Neil Breen. I haven't seen all of his films. I know he's in like 6 or 7 or something. The only reason why I'm bringing up Neil Breen now is because I got a request to watch one of his films, and I just finished watching Twisted Pair, and I am just stunned by the complete incompetence that's on display in that movie. Neil Breen is honestly the worst filmmaker, writer, actor, and producer that I have honestly seen to date. I mean, he makes Uwe Boll and Ed Wood and other guys like Fred Vogel and Tommy Wiseau look like master filmmakers in comparison. This guy is just terrible. His films don't make any sense. They're shot with incredibly piss poor production values. Uh, he is an absolutely abysmal actor. His dialogue is mostly pseudo-scientifical bullshit. it's it's something else. And honestly, like the majority of the fucking movie was stock footage. Like stock footage he got from like fucking Shutterstock or some shit. It wasn't even anything that like he actually shot most of the time, or like a still photo of a certain area, and then he would put himself behind or in the area with a fucking green screen. Yeah. I don't understand why Neil Breen has such a fan base. I know some people are doing it for memes. You know, hey, you're just supposed to laugh at it. That's the whole point. Like, you're supposed to just laugh at how bad his films are. And I'm like, he's just incredibly untalented. And that's not a talent. Being untalented to the extreme is not an actual talent. So yeah, not a fan at all of Neil Breen. In fact, I would rather open the fucking Lament configuration box and have Pinhead and his fellow Cenobites tear my soul and my asshole apart than ever watch Twisted Pair again. That was easily one of the most torturous and worst film experiences I've sat through in a long time. It was boring. It was incompetent to incredible levels. It was just really, 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 really bad. Yeah, I did hear about Vangelis's passing, and that's really unfortunate. That's too bad. I think he was 79. He definitely left a lasting legacy though with his music, with really iconic stuff like his work in Blade Runner and Chariots of Fire. This is from Cole. He saw Firestarter from 1984. Um, yeah, I probably wouldn't give a rating that high for Firestarter. I remember it being okay. I haven't seen it in a long time though. I do remember liking the score by Tangerine Dream, and I also remember liking the effects, like the crazy, insane finale with the fireballs and the explosions and stuff like that. And yeah, the canceled movie version of Firestarter was actually supposed to be the initial filmed version of Firestarter, but John Carpenter was fired by Universal because John Carpenter's The Thing in 1982 was actually a box office bomb, and a lot of critics hated it at the time. In fact, there were people that went as far to call John Carpenter the pornographer of violence. So it didn't go over well. So they fired him. So he was originally supposed to do it, and then he got fired. I really would have liked to have seen John Carpenter's Firestarter. But then again, if John Carpenter did it, he would not have done Christine. So I honestly I think Christine is a better movie and has a better plot and has better characters. So I think I really wouldn't want to trade anything. I wouldn't want to, have John Carpenter do Firestarter and then uh, not do Christine. Yeah, yeah, monster movie fan. I heard that. Yeah, John Carpenter is also doing the score for the new Firestarter, which I heard kind of sucks. Which is too bad, really is. That's really too bad that one is pretty bad. I thought the trailer looked all right, but it did look like it had a lower budget, that's for sure. Speaking of Firestarter, there was a mini series that debuted on the Sci-Fi Channel, and it starred I think it was Marguerite Moreau, I think, or yeah, I think that's who it was. I know the actress because she was in D2 The Mighty Ducks. She was a member of the Mighty Ducks. So it's kind of crazy to see her as a Firestarter. I haven't seen it yet though. It's called Firestarter 2 Rekindled. Um, Pred, yeah, I am gonna see Top Gun Maverick. I've been looking forward to that ever since the teaser trailer came out a couple years ago. I rewatched Top Gun recently. It still holds up well. I love Top Gun. I mean, Top Gun is easily one of my favorite films. It's one of the it is arguably the film I watched the most growing up as a kid, crazy enough. Like, I had a VHS that I even wrote my name on it. I even had a flight jacket that I would wear when I was younger. So yeah, a huge, enormous fan of Top Gun. I watched the 4K recently, and it looks pretty good. It definitely looks a little different than what I was used to because it has a little bit of a different um, filter or something to it, but it's still a really nice looking transfer. Yeah, yeah, Matt. Yeah, The Ward I would say is the weakest film that Carpenter did. Um, Ghost of Mars I actually don't mind, but I can see why some people would see that as being a weak film. But I would say it's better than like Memoirs of the Invisible Man, which I also didn't mind either. I actually thought it was interesting, flawed but interesting. Um, Yeah, Matt, are you talking about the new Texas Chainsaw? Yeah, that was bad. That was really fucking bad. That was terrible. Rambo 3 equals badass. Absolutely. Fucking A. It's like if they made Lawrence of Arabia, but as an action film. So speaking of badass action films, that let's transition into the 1-star IMDb reviews, shall we? Um, and I'm going to start with Robocop, the 1987 original, the one, the only Robocop, except no substitutes, except no Robocock. Uh, so I'm on IMDb here, and this is a 1 out of 10 review, and it starts out with interesting idea. Robocop is a well-made movie. Okay, why are you giving it 1 star if you're saying that it's a well-made film? Uh Robocop is a well-made movie. The special effects still look great after all these years. The music is fantastic. The idea behind it is interesting too. What if someone turned you into a cyborg against your will? It feels almost exactly like a comic book. Okay, why is this 1 star again? Unfortunately, RoboCop is also extremely violent and cruel, full of bad language and with some nudity sprinkled throughout the movie. People are shot to bits, explode in a shower of guts and gore. It's just so unnecessary. Oh, just like this 1 star review. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Really? Really? It's 1 out of 10 because it's too violent. All right, Karen. It's too bad that a lot of the more serious and tragic stuff is drowned out in all the violence and dark humor. RoboCop should have focused more on the drama and less on gory effects and vulgar language. It's rated R. It's not rated G. It's not a PG film. The idea of a man being turned into a cyborg against his will is a very disturbing one, especially in these days that when transhumanists are pushing their evil and perverted ideas. What the fuck? Is this Neil Breen? Did Neil Breen write this review? That makes a lot of sense then. Fucking transhumanists pushing their evil and perverted ideas. The criticism of greed and unfettered capitalism is also good. In the hands of a more capable director, it could have been great. It is great. What are you talking about in the hands of a more capable director? They can't get more capable than Paul Verhoeven. I mean, seriously. Hey, thanks, Night of Snoke. Thanks for the donation. Um, so yeah, I don't agree with that one at all. I actually no, I do agree with some of it, but then I don't agree why it got 1 star. Here's another one. Entertaining, but not what it could have been. I saw RoboCop on TV for the first time in 1990, and I actually enjoyed it, even though I was just a teenager. I liked the action and the violence, and RoboCop himself looked cooler than everything. So, what's not to like about this sci-fi action? First of all, the Verhoeven touch. The Dutch director loves the extreme violence, and RoboCop doesn't make exception. I actually have no problem with violence in movies. It could be funny as hell, and also a sign of style. Oh, okay, yeah, it could be funny as hell. Why did you not find some of the violence in RoboCop funny? Because it was intended to be over the top and funny. Like Kinney's death, for instance. Like no one has that much blood in their entire body. So, I mean, why didn't you find that to be at least somewhat funny? And style, it has a lot of style. Uh, the the guy continues. John Woo in his best Chinese days directed some of the best action movies I've ever seen, and they all had oceans of blood in them. But Verhoeven is different. His reputation of violence is pure splatter and gratuitous. You can almost see the smile on his face when he represents the ultra-violent Murphy's execution by Clarence and his men. I don't see what the problem is by showing the realism of how violent it would be to be blown to pieces by multiple shotguns. I think it. I don't think it's too gratuitous, to be honest. I actually look at it in a different way. I don't see it as Verhoeven just relishing in the violence. I see it as something where, in that scene in particular, he's showing how horrifying it is. He's putting you in the shoes of Lewis, who has to watch her partner Murphy get blown to bits, or in the shoes of Murphy, and just imagine the pain that he's going through. And one of the best ways to show that is to show how graphic it really is. So yeah, he says, when then we see brain splattered, eyes ripped off, a guy obliterated by a malfunctioning prototype, and so on. So this is the first problem: over the top gratuitous violence. The second problem is the crappy stop motion. Again with the crappy stop motion. How is it? I don't think it's crappy at all. You're talking about Phil Tippett, who is a absolutely amazing stop motion artist and effects guy. Like the guy is one of the best to ever work in the realm of stop motion. So what do you mean crappy stop motion? I've seen crappy stop motion, and what you have in Robocop is far from crappy. He's like, I don't know why they used a horribly animated Ed 209 instead of a real size thing. I don't know, something called a budget. I don't know, something called they thought it would be a little bit too impractical to have this big giant hulking thing move around the way that it's supposed to, and it was easier for them to do it in stop motion. But okay. He says, in the scenes in which we see it, it looks hilarious. Well, that's also kind of the point. Like, the Ed 209 is supposed to be funny. That's another thing. Like, it went right over your head, apparently. It's supposed to be funny. Like, it's not supposed to be taken seriously. I mean, the scene when it falls down the stairs and it's helpless, it's flailing its arms around and squealing. Yeah, that's supposed to be funny. The stop motion actually helps in that regard. Third thing, not so much and not so good action. What do you mean not so good action? Don't get me wrong, Verhoeven is capable of filming some good action, Total Recall, but this movie needed more and better action sequences because this has such a cool character. Peter Weller does a good job, although we mostly see him with this iron mask on. It's not made out of iron. This isn't the movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio. He's not wearing an iron mask. He's not Iron Man. But it must have been a real pain to wear that suit. Yeah, just like it's a real pain to read this review. Good supporting characters, and always great Kurtwood Smith, who portrays a ruthless crime lord. Clarence Boddicker? Boddicker? It's Boddicker. You asshole. Boddicker? Then he talks about the soundtrack, says that it's great. Last word, Robocop is a good movie. It has a good screenplay. It's entertaining, but it leaves a lot to be desired. Then why the hell did you give it 1 star? Why am I seeing these reviews and most of them are like people saying they like the movie, they think it's a good film and has all these good things about it, but they still gave it 1 star? But yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Cole. He asks, which movie is worse, TCM 22 or Scream 5? Scream 5. TCM 22 is bad, but it doesn't do the same sort of stuff with legacy characters, at least legacy characters that actually really like. Like, I never really liked Sally like I do Dewey. So yeah, I would say Scream 5 is worse. And another one from Cole. Wow. Thanks, man. Thanks for the donation. Thank you everyone who's donated tonight. It's very generous of you. Batman 3, the Tim Burton canceled, sounded great. Billy D. Williams would play a dark Two-Face, uses a gun to kill people, and Robin Williams, Riddler, threatens to kill people if Batman did not turn himself in within 24 hours. Huh. I haven't actually heard the details on. I thought that never really got that far in pre-production. Maybe that's something that they're doing for the comic or something. I don't know. I don't know about that. So yeah, Neil Breen works for Dick Jones. Yep, sure does. And yeah, Dick Jones is right up there with the dad hard. What the hell? Dad hard. That's a whole other thing. Uh, dad hard. He's right up there with the die hard bad guy. Um, yeah, I think Dick Jones is right up there with any of the most iconic film villains for sure. It's definitely right up there with Hans Gruber. This is from Jay. Are you interested in any upcoming movie? Yeah, I want to see Top Gun Maverick. I am interested in that one. And there's a few others that I'm somewhat curious about. The Black Phone is one of them. I like the trailer. I like the idea behind it. I want to see Crimes of the Future, which is the new David Cronenberg sci-fi mind trip kind of movie. Um, from AMBW channel. Would you want to see a live action Street Sharks movie? No, I really don't. I've always felt Street Sharks is just like poor man's TMNT. I can watch Street Sharks. I mean, I have Street Sharks uh, on DVD, but I'm fine with never seeing a live action film. And if they did one nowadays, it would just suck. You know, it would suck. It would be bad. Uh, Pred says Avatar 2. I'm gonna see it. I was not interested at all in Avatar 2 until I saw the teaser trailer. And I thought it was visually stunning. And I was like, okay, all right, maybe it might be worth seeing in the theater just for the spectacle, just like the first film was. And here's the thing about Avatar 2. I like the idea of having it focus more on the underwater world because I've always loved films that takes place in that kind of landscape. And I know that James Cameron, he delayed a lot of things so he could create this new technology that specifically enabled him to be able to um, shoot motion capture underwater, which is an impressive feat in itself. But none of that will matter if the story isn't good and if the characters aren't good. And that's one of the issues that Avatar had and still has to this day. So if the visuals are stunning, that's fine, but I need more than eye candy. I need an actual compelling story with compelling characters. It just doesn't feel like it's deja vu in terms of the storyline, and the characters kind of suck. So yeah, it's one of those things where I definitely would like to maybe get a little inkling of what the plot is going to be before I actually, pay to see it in the theater. But I will say this, I am way more curious about it than I ever was until I saw that teaser trailer. Matt, yeah, I do like the new Sonic. I did a review of that. I reviewed Sonic too. This is from Cornholio. Thoughts on Biker Mice from Mars? I haven't seen that show in years. It's another one of those shows that was trying to cash in on the success of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Wow, thank you, Bobby. Thanks for the donation. Would it be cool? Is that what you're trying to say? I think that's what Bobby's trying to say. If they have RoboCop and Judge Dredd team up, fight armies of Terminators, that would be a cool crossover. I don't know if they did crossover in the comics. I know you had like Judge Dredd versus Predator, or like RoboCop versus. I don't think there ever was RoboCop versus Predator. I mean, there was Terminator versus Predator versus something, and I forgot what it was. I know Superman fought Predator in one series. I know there was like Terminator crossovers because Dark Horse had the rights to Terminator for a certain amount of time. But yeah, that'd be cool. Will asks, "What is my opinion of Seth MacFarlane as an actor?" All that I've really seen from him is clips of stuff like what is it, 1 million Ways to Die in the West or something. I don't think that's the actual name of the movie. I think I got it wrong. But and I wasn't impressed from that. But I've seen also some people talk about his show the Orville that he was a part of, and I've heard he was pretty good in that. So I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of thoughts on him as an actor, to be perfectly honest. Um, and all right, here's Cole again with another donation. I I don't know what to say, man. Thank you so much. That's just leave me speechless, man. That's very humbling. Thanks. The canceled movie has script details leaked, like Batman '89 comics do show the entire script from unused, from at least from what I've heard. Oh, that's cool. Honestly, I wish they did that then forever. Now, I mean, if that's really what they were gonna do, I absolutely 100% wish they made Burton's Batman 3. Let's see here. Got another RoboCop 1-star review here. Successful hero, movie, and satire. I don't think so. Okay, I'm not a fan. But undoubtedly, this movie has had startling success, which led to a second part, a third part, and a fourth TV one, not to mention a TV series and another TV series, but animated. So why is that? Because RoboCop, the original, is a fucking classic and it's a badass movie. That's why. But okay. He says he's not a fan. He doesn't know why it had all these sequels and spin-offs. RoboCop is original when it comes to accumulate that load of drastic and loud. I've cartoon action and big production too. Dude, can you speak English? What? What? Uh, its title character was one of the first icy, rigid heroes as a machine, not like Arnie from the same era, who you love to combine with to immerse in his violence, live the solidity, and forget all the feelings which make you too weak, fall in love, and have that cruel human wounds. Huh? What? I mean, exactly, Monoval. Yeah. LOL. Like, what? You just have a bunch of like WTFs in the fucking chat. It's a perfect way to enjoy the illusion of owning a super distractive ability, blowing up your annoying foes, and serving the society in the same time. Okay, now this guy is fucking Neil Breen. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. So RoboCop is a movie or character managed in the late 80s to get a special place in the pop culture and be a noticeable indicator in terms of embodying violence on screen. Now, let me elaborate on why this successful hero movie aren't successful for me. First off, that literally metallic hero. No. Huh? That literally metallic. They gave us Ropo Dirty Harry. Ropo? It's RoboCop, not RopoCop. Ropo Dirty Harry or his inbred development. Inbred development. So RoboCop is like a fucking it's like it's like fucking Deliverance now. Inbred development. What the fuck? uh or his inbred development in the sci-fi genre after 15 years of its first appearance. Nevertheless, Inspector Harry is more human and less ridiculous. Well, yeah, because he's dirty. He's a human. He's Dirty Harry. Of course he's more human. You could say that again if you replace Dirty Harry with Darth Vader. What? Replace Dirty Harry with Darth Vader? What planet is this guy on? He should get his ass off Mars, not to Mars. In short, with the way he speaks and moves, RoboCop is too silly. He's laughable. Oh, just like your fucking review. It's laughable. That's for sure. As for the movie, I believe that its success had a lot to do with its violence and exaggerated representation of it on screen. By the camera angles, the rough editing, the crack-brained special effects. Crack-brained? That I should use that term more often. Crack brain. That's a good one. Should probably use that for my review of fucking Neil Breen's Twisted Pair. Just be like, yeah, this script was written by a crack brain. So, crack brain special effects and the very profuse explosions. This movie loyally imitated the foolish violence of the video games with doubling it many times. Foolish violence of video games? Like, this wasn't based on a video game. There was a Robocop video game, but that happened afterwards. To some extent, Robocop did for the action movies what Madonna did for the pop singing. What the fucking hell? What? What? Yeah, exactly. This review is crack brained. Madonna? What the fuck does Madonna have to do with Robocop? Did for the action movies what Madonna did for the pop singing, since both of them geminated the materialistically attractive elements, the harsh violence in action blockbusters, and the sexiness in the modern singing and dancing, the shake of the pop culture, and yes, win more money and fame, addressing the lowest human desires and paraphrasing the rule from sex sells to abundant violence and abundant sex abundantly sell. I don't even know where to begin with this thing. He's still going. While it pretends to be satirical, the movie is so flat and hollow. Don't wait for a respectful satire about violent toys, inane media, or rotten authority. What are you talking about? This is one of the best satires of its era. One of the best satires, period. Because any social political commentary, rather any serious concept, was exterminated by the heavy violence. How does that work? How do you exterminate social commentary with the inclusion of violence in a movie? Okay. In fact, the sole substance that this movie has is seducing the audience and seizing their money by hectic and bloody fights, let alone how this so-called satire was presented through comic touches as TV news or commercials about cheap violent toys, with repeating them in rhythmical matter to the end of the movie, the very movie which confirmed all the time that it's a real cheap violent toy in itself, having no difference except for its too much violence, extravagance, and pretension. Pretension? Since when is RoboCop pretentious? We're talking about the remake, sure, not the original. Over and above that insufferably disturbing spirit all the time, and it doesn't come from the cold mechanical cadence of the title's character only, but from the character of the director as well. He confessed in a documentary about this movie that in 1987 he didn't know any English, therefore he handled the work so everybody with great nervousness and unbroken outburst. And it's obvious how this infected the crew in the movie. Hence, it's easy to understand the secret of the entire hysterical atmosphere and burning pace. It's Mr. Paul Verhoeven, ladies and gentlemen. He did understand English. He wasn't completely uh incapable of understanding English at the time. So he talks about Paul Verhoeven. He finishes with this one. Objectively speaking, RoboCop again. RoboCop. RoboCop is some icon in the history of American culture. Not RoboCop. Nobody knows who RoboCop is. RoboCop, yeah. RoboCop, I don't know. More people know who Robert Cop is than RoboCop. He's some icon in the history of American culture, which tells you a lot about the Americans themselves in one era. Plus, it did leave an effect on the next era. Judge Dredd, for a little instance. Judge Dredd was around before the 90s. In fact, RoboCop himself is inspired by Judge Dredd. Michael Miner and Edward Neumeier, they wanted to do a Judge Dredd movie, but they couldn't figure things out in terms of the rights or get the ability to do so, so they wrote RoboCop. Though subjectively speaking, RoboCop is such a stupid, odious hero. All of that, what he does is goofy and ludicrous. This movie is a sickening, delirious nightmare. And whenever I hear its last line, "Call me Murphy," I instantly replay, "Sorry, I call you idiot." That has to be one of the most mind-blowingly just inane and crazy reviews I think I've ever read. I mean, I almost want to give it like the response that you see in Billy Madison. The whole thing. It's like nothing in that entire sentence made any sense, and may God have mercy on your soul. Um. Oh, once again, wow, Cole, thank you so much. In 1994, Dinosaur Attacks canceled movie based on trading cards. No, no, Tim Burton would have directed it. That might have been interesting. I know he did Mars Attacks, so it might have been interesting to see what he might have done with Dinosaur Attacks. Cole with another donation here. Who's worse, Jada Pinkett Smith or Amber Heard? Oh, I would say Amber Heard. I mean, yeah, Jada Pinkett Smith. That seems like she's not the best, and she might be abusive in her own way. But Amber Heard, like, there's legitimate factual proof throughout this entire trial that she's been abusive. So it's not just a one-off kind of thing. So this is from Salvatore. Hey Salvatore. Do you think Drop Zone with Wesley Snipes is underrated? Not really. I saw it recently. I thought it was okay. I don't think it's as bad as some people make it out to be. I will say that I had fun with it, mainly for Yancey Butler. I really liked her in that film. Wesley Snipes is all right though. Yeah, I know. 1-star reviews, more like whack ass reviews. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Um Hey Jonathan, which is worse, Robocock or The Visit? Robocock. The Visit sucks with its annoying rapping, kids, and dirty diapers. But Robocock, it pisses me off a hell of a lot more. Definitely. Another donation from Cole. Which movie is worse, Superman 4 or Jaws 4? Ooh. Uh, Jaws 4 is really fucking awful. But so is Superman 4. But Superman 4 has Christopher Reeve. And he's not bad in that. He's actually pretty decent. So as bad as Superman 4 is, I gotta give Superman, I gotta say Jaws 4 is worse because it doesn't have Christopher Reeve. Yeah, Monteval, yeah, The Fifth Element. It's fantastic. Love that movie. It's a classic. I don't know if there's any. Okay, I got one more 1-star review here for RoboCop, and then I'll go on to another movie. Maybe I'll go on to The Fifth Element. Couldn't finish the movie. It's rare for me not to finish something that I've started to watch, rather that it be a movie or TV show, even if I'm not that into the movie or show. When it comes to TV shows, if I don't like the show, I'll finish the season, but I won't finish the series. Well, that's not the best way to go about watching a show, because there are a lot of shows that didn't have the best first season. I mean, Seinfeld's first season wasn't the best. Star Trek The Next Generation is a great example of that. Star Trek The Next Generation didn't get really good until like in the middle of its run, like in like season 3 or 4. Because the first 2 seasons weren't really that great. Weren't really that great. Some of them were watchable, but there were some episodes that were pretty fucking bad. So yeah, he said he won't finish the series. When it comes to movies, he turns it off once it gets to be unbearable. I've turned off a movie when it's a really gross movie, but I don't remember what it's called. And I almost did it to a movie called Hitachi because it was just so freaking sad. Literally the saddest movie I've ever seen. But I ended up finishing the movie. Anyway, back to this shit show of a movie. Robocop is probably the worst movie I've ever watched. How can you say it's the worst movie that you've ever watched if you haven't actually watched Robocop? I mean, seriously. I didn't mind the violence or the gore. What I did mind was the bad acting and the god awful special effects. Bad acting. I don't get it. Like, where's the bad acting? Or bad special effects. I figured the special effects would be decent considering there were movies older than Robocop that had some pretty good special effects, especially for their time. Star Wars, The Fly, Alien, etc. But holy flying cows, this was beyond horrible. Like, really? Roboteen's effects work on Melting Emil? Oh, wait, you didn't see Melting Emil because you didn't watch the fucking movie. So, yeah. Uh, Not the best impression because you didn't give it a chance. Uh, I was so wrong on how good the special effects would be. I probably would have been fine with the crappy acting if the special effects weren't so awful. It truly has some of the worst special effects I've ever seen in a movie. That alone is why I had to turn this garbage movie off. I read someone's review where they actually praised the special effects. My jaw dropped in horror and confusion. I will never give this shit sandwich of a movie another try. Truly one of the most vile movies out there. Yeah, I got nothing. I got nothing. I don't know what else is. I don't know what to say. Oh, hey Matt. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Doing pretty good. I have had a fair amount of time off this week, from work, so things haven't been too hectic. So I've been able to, you know, get caught up on requests and have more time to do streams and stuff. Uh, Good luck with your requests. And thank you. And I think the stream's going pretty well. Definitely do. I would absolutely love to do another one. Films in 1997. That's a great idea. Yeah. Or we can rant about Prey and the Predator franchise. That's another good idea. Maybe we could do both. Um, Another donation from Cole. Wow, I'm legitimately speechless at the generosity at this point. How would you rate Volcano? For me, 9 out of 10. Underrated Tommy Lee Jones movie. It needs a 4K release, but it won't happen because of Fox and Disney. I like Volcano. I had fun. I have fun with it. I would love to get the Blu-ray, but it's incredibly hard to find and out of print. So I would just settle for a new review. A new review. I would just settle for a new Blu-ray of Volcano at this point, to be honest. Going back up here to some of the other comments. Thoughts on Desert Heat with Van Damme. I don't have any thoughts because I haven't seen it. I've heard not the best things about it, but I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really say a whole lot about it. This is from Pred. Do you like Predators compared to the Predator? No, I still don't like the Predators. Because I'm a fan of Predator. I read the Predator Dark Horse comics. I have a ton of them, and I'm not a fan of the Predator fan fiction that they wrote and decided to do instead of the Dark Horse comic storylines that they had the rights to the entire fucking time. Much more superior stories like Concrete Jungle and Cold Prey and so on, and they didn't fucking do anything with them. It's like you could just adapt one of those storylines and it would make a great film, but no, let's do this lame shit with Adrian Brody and his big nose and his Christian Bale Batman tough guy voice. And we'll have like a super predator and we'll have the original predator and it'll get his ass kicked in like 10 seconds. We'll do some artsy fartsy shit with like a guy with a ninja sword, a katana, and then he'll get like sliced by the predator in like a field of grain or some shit. It might as well be fucking flowers for all I fucking care. Predator sucks. So does the Predator. They both suck. What's my favorite Batman animated series episode? I don't have a favorite. I have a lot of episodes that I really like Heart of Ice, the Clayface 2-part origin, the Two-Face 2-parter. I really like a fair amount of the Joker episodes, at least from the first season. Um, yeah, there's a lot of episodes of that show that I really enjoy. Yeah, Monteval. Yeah, great point. I want to clarify. Like, it wasn't terrible. Like, he even said, like, it had some good episodes, but it just wasn't consistently as good as it would be later on in like season 3 or 4 when it comes to Star Trek TNG. Which is worse, Rob Zombie's Halloween or the Nightmare on Elm Street remake? Ooh, man, that's kind of a tough one because both of them are bad, but Rob Zombie, he's a better filmmaker and he actually has some passion for filmmaking, unlike Samuel Bayer, who never directed a thing again and seemed to not even like directing the movie. So I gotta give it to the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. As bad as Rob Zombie's Halloween is, there are elements of it where the directing isn't bad, and I actually don't mind the actor who's playing Michael Myers. I think it's Tyler something. I forgot his last name though. I know he was Sabretooth in X-Men. But yeah, I don't mind the guy's performance as Michael Myers, and it's not good, but it's better than Nightmare on Elm Street remake with Rooney Mara, who's like asleep throughout the entire movie, and Jackie Ewer Haley in his Sling Blade Freddy voice. What are you screaming for? I haven't even cut you yet. Mm-hmm. French fried taters. Yeah, yeah. Tyler Maine, thank you. I knew it was like Tyler M something, but it just couldn't come to my brain for some reason. Uh Pred, it's IMDb. Another donation from Cole. Thank you, man. Alien 3 sucks big time. Yes, it does. Yep. Hashtag fuck Alien 3. Even Michael Bean said fuck Alien 3. There was like an interview like at like a Comic-Con or something, and he was just like, fuck Alien 3. It's like one of my favorite clips. It just made me love Michael Bean even more. Uh Thoughts on Delta Force 1 and 2 Mission in Action trilogy. I like Delta Force. I can watch the second film, and when it comes to Missing in Action, my favorite I think is the second movie, and the first one's fun too. The third film though, I remember just being okay. Um, Donation from Bobby again. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone who's donated in this stream. Thanks to everyone who's just joined in. And just left a comment in the chat and is still watching. Got like 25 people right now. Got to start off somewhere. Robocop is a great movie. Robocop 2, fun, underrated film. Dredd is an awesome Robocop remake. It's better than Robo Rotten. Heading to bed. So see ya. Thank you once again, Bobby, and you have a good night. Yeah. Freddy's teeth look really bad. Definitely needs a dentist. Yeah, Matt, I agree. Yeah, the Nightmare remake was forgettable, not even funny, and it was lazy too. Like there were so many scenes that were just copying from the original. Let's go back to IMDb. Forgive the sounds of typing here, since I know people have mentioned The Fifth Element. Let's bring that one up. I know that one has some divisive feelings for sure, because it's definitely an out there kind of film. Let's see here. The epitome of emptiness. That's not something that I would ever associate with a film like The Fifth Element, but okay. I hate this movie with a passion. If there ever was a pretentious movie about nothing, but which tried recklessly to cover up its lack of meaning with over elaborate sets and costumes, this is it right here. If you can't allow yourself to be swayed by the none too subtle pressure, case in point, drooling over Mila Jovovich, translated from horny teenage viewers into in the audience into the movie itself. I don't know, man. Maybe you're you're projecting a little bit there. To like the movie for its appearance, watching the steaming pile of refuse is going to be torture. Luc Besson should never be allowed to work in show business again. Damn! Shit. Uh, I never thought The Fifth Element was that pretentious. Like, it had moments where it would be talking about certain things when it comes to certain aspects of society, like that whole scene near the end when she's watching footage of war and she questions whether or not humanity is worth saving. But I mean, I never really felt that it was something that was that pretentious. And I definitely didn't think it was a film about nothing. I mean, yeah, absolutely. What argument is being made here? Here's another one. I want to hurt this movie. Wow. Wow. I never thought I'd see that when it comes to a review of The Fifth Element. I want to hurt this movie. I want to punch it. The Fifth Element is bad beyond all possible levels of badness. The acting is atrocious, the writing is so inane, and it seems to come from the mind of a dim-witted 9-year-old, and the visuals are merely stolen from Blade Runner. Oh yeah, it's stolen from Blade Runner just because it has flying cars. Okay. All right, you're one of those people. All right. And many other better films. This would be an awful movie even without Chris Tucker in it. Throw him into the mix and it becomes unwatchable. Yeah, I know Chris Tucker's an acquired taste. Even I think too much of his character in The Fifth Element can be a little grating, but I'm not gonna say he makes it unwatchable. The element of suck. Wow. Okay. This is something. When it came out, I looked forward to this. Damn overhype. I hate you. When a movie sucks, it's the huge hype only makes it the disgust even more sour. The Fifth Element does not deliver at all. What's the problem? It's incredibly boring. The FX for its time were cool. The FX are here sometimes and look good. Other than that, this is an ugly movie. The colors are poor. The colors are poor. Wow. I never thought I would ever hear somebody say the colors are poor when it comes to The Fifth Element. So many things are just surprising me right now when it comes to these Fifth Element reviews. Uh, Also, the acting is quite wooden too. Bruce Willis is just phoning it in here. Bruce Willis is phoning it in here. Like if you're talking about a recent Bruce Willis movie, no argument there. But like in The Fifth Element, no. That's some of his best acting to me. It's that you can tell he's having a blast playing Corbin Dallas. Gary Oldman, what can I say? What is he doing here? He not only looks ridiculous, but is not menacing at all. One of the least convincing villains ever. This movie also drags along slowly. It's so slow and boring that I fell asleep while watching it. I woke up. It's still on. Ugh, this movie's too long. The main problem, freaking boring. A lot of you reviewers are too kind or are too kind. Sorry, I couldn't speak there for a second because I'm just too baffled by this guy's logic. Wow. Another donation from Cole. Thank you. Once again, which is worse, Friday the 13th Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan, or Robocop 3? Ooh. Jason Takes Manhattan is trash, but Robocop 3 is an even bigger pile of trash. Because I don't have the same connection with the Friday the 13th franchise as I do with Robocop. With the fucking Robocop 3 with its evil Steve Martin and Robocop sounding like he's slow in the head or he has a few too many wires loose and just the Adam West kind of puns. You better call the fire department or the other fucking lame shit like don't count on it, chum. don't count on don't count on it, chum. Who the hell are you, Robo? Are you sure this isn't Adam West Batman? Man. David Gordon Green sucks. He's the J.J. Abrams of horror. I mean, I still need to see more of from him to say that he sucks. But I'm not going to necessarily defend him. I think he's a little overhyped, that's for sure. Yeah, I like The Fifth Element too. Watched it recently. In fact, speaking of Atmos, I have the 4K, and that's what I rewatched it on. I rewatched it recently on this 4K, which actually isn't as bad as some of the reviews say it is online. To be perfectly honest. Let's see here. I think I'm going to move on to a different movie now. A lot of people have been talking about Nightmare on Elm Street because they referenced the remake, so we might as well bring up a Nightmare on Elm Street then. Let's bring up the first appearance of Freddy, my favorite horror icon, my favorite slasher character. No, my favorite slasher, not my favorite slasher character. Let's see here. What could be more overrated than this? Before I get started with that, I want to mention Matt here. Have a good night, Matt. Thanks for joining in. So yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street. What could be more overrated than this? The other day, some friends told me they didn't watch horror movie because every one of them was cheesy and predictable. At the same time, I wasn't exactly sure what they were watching to make them think that, but now I know. A Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't care if it's a classic. It's still one of the single worst movies I've ever seen in my life, and I don't understand how this is by the same man who wrote The Last House on the Left, which was superior in every way imaginable. How the hell is The Last House on the Left more superior to A Nightmare on Elm Street in every way imaginable? I get why people are a fan of that one. I'm not as big on it as others are. In fact, I actually think the remake is better. But how can you say that script is better than A Nightmare on Elm Street? And Last House on the Left has those annoying bumfuck cops who are just there for comic relief. How is that better than anything in A Nightmare on Elm Street? But okay, all right. To call this movie cheesy is an understatement. Oh God, you want to see me get triggered? I'm getting triggered, folks. I hate it when people abuse the term cheesy when it comes to them talking about a movie. Leave the cheese to mac and cheese. So to call this movie cheesy is an understatement. From opening and closing, the acting is some of the most unintentionally funny I've seen in a horror movie. And also some of the most melodramatic lines I'm sure Wes Craven had to have laughed at when he wrote them, I'm sure. The entire movie plays out like something made for TV on Cartoon Network, and they actually show this movie on that station around Halloween. What? When did they ever show A Nightmare on Elm Street on Cartoon Network? Has anyone here seen A Nightmare on Elm Street on Cartoon Network? Even like a censored version. I don't know how that would be played on Cartoon Network. Maybe you're getting confused with the Rick and Morty parody? But okay. There is nothing even remotely dark or serious about this movie because it's written with the simplicity and corniness of a children's film. Nothing remotely dark and serious? A child molester who killed kids and was burned to death and got brought back to he didn't necessarily get brought back to life, but he came back in people's dreams and started killing The Kids of Elm Street? Nothing serious or dark about it? I don't know. It sounds pretty serious and dark to me. Okay. The actors themselves don't even look old enough to be teenagers. Oh, yeah, of course, that whole thing. That happened a lot back in the day. And the reason why it happened is because of labor laws. They didn't hire like actors who were actual teenagers most of the time because they couldn't actually get them to act for, you know, a long amount of time. But okay. Uh Minus the cliche comical bedroom scene near the end, the movie has no more blood than a kid's movie. No more blood than a kid's movie? Oh, minus the bedroom scene. You can't take that out. You can't take out the fountain of fucking blood. And even there's still some blood. I mean, when people get slashed in the chest, yeah, you know, when Tina gets cut up, that's pretty bloody. I really cannot think of anything in this movie that be aimed at adults or older teens. Nightmare on Elm Street is a children's movie through and through. The story itself is a throwaway and lacks any creativity whatsoever. A guy kills in your dreams. Other than that, every single factor of Nightmare on Elm Street uses cliches that were around long before it. A secondary character dies off. The main character goes on a quest to kill the killer. The main character goes to school and almost is killed. The main character does research and finds an urban legend or the equivalent on how to kill the supernatural killer. Her plan succeeds, and the last few minutes show a reversal of expectations. Honestly, how was it that cliched at the time? Because I don't remember seeing that many films before 1984 that had this specific kind of plot line and showed things playing out the way that they do in A Nightmare on Elm Street. Anyone remember how many times they've seen that exact plot before? Not that many times before 1984. If I were to list the movies at the top of my head, the same plot, it would be at least 2 pages. Yeah, because you're all talking about shit afterwards. Those of you who claim this to be a spirit slasher because it's original do not know what original means. I think you don't know what original means. I don't think you don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. Freddy is the single thing that kept me even watching this movie. His character is a tired cliche, exactly like Pennywise and Billy and the Joker and every other villain, but his actual design is at least a little bit different. Pennywise and Billy, Freddy was around before Pennywise. Well, at least before Pennywise in it, in terms of the TV movie or even the recent film. The Joker, I don't really see how Freddy equals the Joker. But okay. He's essentially Mr. Rogers with the burnt face and knives for fingers. What? Freddy is Mr. Rogers? Okay. Is that because the kids do rhymes and stuff? Is that why? Is that why? You're saying he's like Mr. Rogers? But that is more original than what you're gonna get most slashers. It's sad to see him in such a lame movie. The only reason why I didn't turn Nightmare on Elm Street off and go to bed is because every other hardcore fan must watch it, and I did, but I saw nothing different than every other cheese horror movie ever made. I hope the remake is better and has less clothing with primary colors. What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Less clothing with primary colors? Okay. All right. Before I go on to more, wow, once again, Cold donated another $5. Favorite movie, mine is Jurassic Park, with The Thing, 1982 second, and Aliens third. All 3 classic films, and 3 films that I might as well look at some 1-star reviews for. This is from Dante. What is your favorite Evil Dead movie? That's tough because I really like the first film for what it is. It did so much with a low budget, but I also am a huge fan of Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. It just depends on what kind of Evil Dead film I'm looking for. Like if I'm looking for a more straightforward horror film and not a horror comedy, then I'll go with Evil Dead. But if I'm looking for a horror comedy, I'll go with Evil Dead 2. I like Army of Darkness as well, but I definitely am a bigger fan of the first two, and the less said about the remake, the better. Uh, let's see here. Yeah, I swear these reviewers must be trolls. Actually, I don't think they are. I think they legitimately are people with actual real opinions, and you know what? They're entitled to them, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with them. Uh, yeah, I've seen American Werewolf in Paris. I thought it sucked. Really bad CGI. Really fucking awful. Um, yeah, whoever wrote this review must be smoking a bong or starting too much cocaine. Absolutely. Mr. Kruger's neighborhood. Oh yeah, the 1-star ratings for Empire, that would be ridiculous. Oh, they probably exist, that's for sure. I'm not gonna go with another review of the original Nightmare on Elm Street. Instead, I'm actually gonna go and take a suggestion from the chat. And let's go with. Sorry, I gotta excuse my typing noises. Mechanical keyboard is pretty loud. All right. Let's go with the 5-star reviews for the or the 10-star reviews. Let's go with the 10 out of 10-star reviews for the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. People never gave this film a chance. Oh, I love that one. I love that. They definitely. I've heard that one before. They never gave it a chance. I did give it a chance, and it blew it. It must be a small percent of people who actually enjoyed the movie. Yeah, there is a small percentage of people, and that's fine. And this reviewer, he's like, I was one of them. I enjoyed the movie a lot. I think the biggest problem a lot of people have with the new movie is that it wasn't the old franchise. Again, with that, it wasn't the old franchise. No, the biggest problem I have with the remake is that it sucked. It wasn't that it was too familiar or it wasn't familiar enough. And I love that it was like it wasn't the old franchise. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, there are so many scenes in the remake that are just the old franchise. People get certain expectations in their heads when Hollywood comes out with a new movie based on an old franchise, and when it doesn't meet those expectations, you better watch out because no matter what you do, people won't agree with it. You know, there's a certain truth to that statement, but I don't think that really applies to the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. As soon as they announced the original actor for Krueger wasn't going to be taking up his old role, people should have known the movie was going to take a hit. People were just not going to forget the fact that Robert Englund was not going to be starring in the film. This still would have sucked even if England was Freddy because of the fact that the writing is horrible and Samuel Barras is a absolutely talentless hack of a director. I mean, his response to criticism for his film was to tell people who didn't like his film to go outside and touch grass. That's basically what his response was. So, okay. Yeah, all right. Talking about Robert Englund not going to be in the movie. The original Nightmare on Elm Street movies never took themselves very seriously. They were campy B horror quality films that people learned to love and enjoy. While Krueger was still a murdering horror icon, he was more of a joker, a prankster, and a wisecracker than some sort of supervillain. Well, that's how he was initially. I guess how he was actually later on. That's how uh, Freddy wound up being later on in the franchise. He became more of a jokester and a prankster and a wisecracker. Like early on, he wasn't necessarily like that. He had his moments, but he was definitely more of a serious, uh, threatening kind of presence. I think a lot of people also dislike the fact that how much more villainous they actually made Krueger. How much more villainous is he actually in the remake? I don't think he's that much more villainous than he was in the original or in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, for instance. A lot of people dislike the fact that it made him a child molester. No, he was already a child molester. Well, maybe he was a child killer. They didn't actually clarify that he would molested kids, but it's implied. And like seriously, I don't think people dislike the film just for that. The reality of it is, even from the old franchise, they were planning on making Krueger a child molester. When a major court case involving an actual child molester being to take trial, they didn't want people to think of their movie had anything to do with the actual person on trial and changed Krueger from a child molester to simply a murderer. The reality of it is, on its own, it's a good movie. On its own, it's a good movie. How is the remake good on its own? I'm fine if you feel that way, but please at least defend yourself. At least make sense of what you're trying to say. Don't just say it and not back it up. I see this so often with some of these people where they defend a certain film like the Nightmare on Elm Street remake or Alien 3 or so on, and they say all these things, but they don't actually back any of it up. They just say on its own it holds up. And then when you mention and ask them how, they don't have anything. It's unfortunate that there are such diehard fans that they can't even keep an open mind. I thought it was a fantastic movie, and I'm glad it was produced. I can keep an open mind. For instance, I liked Maniac. I thought that was a good remake. And I'm a big fan of the 1980 film. So yeah, I can keep an open mind. And I like Jackie Rahilly as an actor, but he just he just couldn't cut it as Freddy. And yeah, I agree. Even on its own, Elm Street remake is a chore. Uh, and then we have Jonathan Lindsay here. Robert is Freddy Krueger. Period. Yeah, I agree. I don't think there's a way to actually replace Robert because he just brought so much to that role that made it his own and made that role iconic. 10-star Fog, the 2005 remake review. Is there even a 10-star review of that? Let's see. Let's see if there's a 10-star review of the Fog remake. And then I'll go and look up a few more, and then I'll probably call it quits for the stream once we get to like 2 hours. Let's see here. What have we got? Oh no, I brought up the original Fog. Even IMDb doesn't want to bring up the remake. They're like, what? Are you sure? Are you sure you want to bring up the remake? Alrighty. Okay. All right. Don't believe the bad reviews, people. Fog is exactly as advertised. Based on a handful of Fog reviews, I think this movie killed people's children. No, that's Freddy. That's a different franchise. It's a movie, people, and it was a good one. It was scary and it kept me entertained, and darn it, if that's not all that I'm looking for. Who wrote this review? Stuart Smalley? Gosh darn it. People like me. And I like the Fog remake. I didn't even really know it was a remake except for the couple kids in the rows around me saying over and over, this can't even be as good as the original. So I got a remake city. Fine. I don't care. Looking for a cheap thrill and something to talk about with a girlfriend. Not looking for Citizen Kane or Frank Capra. Oh, yeah. Okay. It's not. What are you expecting? Citizen Kane? Looking for a movie which by its own admission is going to be cheap and shallow and scary. And hey, look at the panties. So here's my 2 cents. What? Wow, that review took a turn. Good movie. Feel free to disagree, but you'll have to take yourself down a few dozen levels of movie snob to relate back to my arguments. The script was a little cheesy, just like every horror movie you'll see this year and next. The acting was a little thin, which wasn't all that surprising. Plot holes, you betcha. Did they wreck the movie? No, because it was still scary and still fun. The best parts were the direction of the action and the fog special effects. The fog special effects were some of the best. I never thought I'd hear that about the Fog remake. The movie has a few excellent car crashes, one that was really intense and purposeful, and one that was just for a big bang, but still cool to watch. Because this one wasn't in every TV spot, so you just didn't know it was coming. The ending that everybody seems to hate was just a good ending. Didn't pull punches or negate the last hour and a half. Once you see the final frame reveal the movie, work backwards, people. It all makes sense. Put it together piece by piece, small clue by small clue, and suddenly you'll be satisfied, or even a little glad that the movie played with your mind a little. No, just no. Uh-uh. Uh, I don't like posting. Got a life to live, but all you guys need to relax a little. Did the people who made the movie say The Fog is the single greatest film in the history of visual medium and it deserves to be honored? No, buddy. They didn't say much of anything except it's a scary movie and it's October. So go eat popcorn, relax, stop taking the movie and yourself so seriously. It was good. Oh, so basically another one of those like, hey, my expectations are low, so lower your expectations. Yeah, I'd rather not. I'd rather not do that. Alrighty. How about some 1-star reviews for The Wrath of Khan? All right. It's my favorite Star Trek film, by the way. I'm sure there's going to be some. Alrighty, let's see here. Going to the user reviews. 1 star. The Wrath of Tedium. Oh, yeah, sure. It's such a tedious film. I don't remember ever being bored by The Wrath of Khan. I mean, if you said it about the motion picture, I mean, I could kind of get it. Although I've really grown into liking that movie over the years. But yeah, I can get why some people would find that tedious. But okay, The Wrath of Tedium. This movie has it all. Long and repeated shots of spaceship models, tedious dialogue between wooden actors, ridiculous action sequences, absurd science. This was truly awful. The opening 30 minutes are amongst the worst ever released by a major studio. We're talking Showgirls level bad. Showgirls level bad. Somebody actually compared Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan to Showgirls. Wow. I found the only reason to hang on to the end was the hope anything would save it. Nothing did. The only surprise here is the franchise survived this absolute stinker. So much of the film relies on the audience's familiarity with the characters and forgiving abominations like the dialogue, the acting, the lack of anything at all happening. Star Trek 4 at least had interest of time travel and the prime directive on Earth to provide interest or even relatability, plus a bit of an environmental theme, but there's nothing to redeem this snooze fest. There's not even the deliciousness of watching a truly bad film here, as the absolute tedium destroys even that ironic titillation. I mean, wow. Okay. I don't even know where to begin. The acting isn't that bad. The dialogue's actually pretty good. I mean, the whole speech that Spock gives at the end when he's sacrificing himself, that's considered to be one of the most iconic goodbye speeches in all of cinema. And I mean, you're not even going to mention Ricardo Montalban as Khan. I mean, his performance alone is enough to keep you glued to the screen. And ridiculous action. It has some of the best action in the entire series. Hey there, Blast Radius. Thank you. Yeah, I agree. Fifth Element is not pretentious. If you want pretentious, watch any Christopher Nolan movie. Yep. Yep. I know that might be controversial for some people, but yep. I agree with that one. Let's go with a 1-star review, continuing the trend. Let's go with Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. check out the 1-star reviews for The Empire Strikes Back, which is my favorite Star Wars film, by the way, as well. Something with these sequels, with Star Wars and Star Trek for me. All right, grossly overrated. This film is bad in the sense that it's hardly a film at all. Is that, huh? It is hardly a film at all. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. It has no structure, no dialogue, no screenplay, a threadbare story, no structure, no dialogue. So it's just, The Empire Strikes Back. The version that you saw was just a black screen. Is that the version that you saw? Is that okay? That would make sense if you're reviewing it based on that. That's for sure. It has no structure, no dialogue, no screenplay, a threadbare story, but one that is not told because of non-existent direction. It continues where the original left off, but just notches off plot elements one by one without any urge to tell a story or develop characters, relationships, etc. The makers probably conceived this as a filler between numbers 1 and 3 and didn't bother with it. No, I mean, contrary to what people think, George Lucas actually didn't have a plan for a trilogy initially. He just went with the flow. In fact, he didn't even have any faith in Star Wars. He thought it was going to bomb. He thought it was going to bomb and believed that so thoroughly that he made a bet with Steven Spielberg, and that led to him having to pay Steven Spielberg to this day because he lost the bet because it wound up being a huge success. He wasn't even there for the premiere. He went to Hawaii. He had no faith in it whatsoever. He had no plan from the start. So no, it was not intended to be a filler. Yeah, I feel you, Monoful. So okay, conceive this as filler between numbers 1 and 3 and didn't bother with it. Of course, that's all right. I don't have any problem with that. But what really does disturb me is the high praise meted out to this film for almost every quarter from viewers and critics alike. Yeah, because it's a fucking classic. It's a great movie. On this board, it's being rated as the 17th best movie of all time. I don't think it's really undeserved. I've consulted quite a few film guides. They all tag maximum or near maximum stars to this film. Even more bizarrely, they consider it to be the best of the series. And in my mind, it's clearly the worst. What is going on? Of course, it's not difficult to see why this film is idolized. The first film was both good and a milestone. Not great. It was a perfect statement for an age. It was a fairy tale that was confused as science fiction. The Force embodied morality, even religion for the space age, set in the distant past, and therefore pertains to origins rather than where technology is going. Spaceships and laser guns are just a backdrop and have nothing to do with the story, the subject matter. Nothing to do with the story or the subject matter. Okay. All right. When this film appeared in the middle of the crisis-ridden 70s, it must have been a beacon of new hope to put the groundbreaking special effects into its proper context. They symbolized optimism. There's no doubt that the effects served the story well, but they served even better the mood of the age. And with all this going, Star Wars rightly became a tremendous hit and the focus of fanatic devotion. It was going to be expected that any sequel would have been gobbled up by the fan base as long as it didn't spoil the original. Empire doesn't spoil the original. It not only continues the war between good and evil, it does it with more spectacle, more aplomb, more special effects. When people say they like Empire, I really think they mean that they like Star Wars so much that they are thrilled that it has a new and glossy wrapping. I just can't wrap my head around this. Empire's not the same film as A New Hope. Because Empire is nothing but embellishment. They're not judging the film itself. No, we are. Some really great sequences. The stuff with Yoda and Luke on Dagobah. The asteroid sequence. The showdown with Luke and Vader, Cloud City. There's the battle on Hoth. They're thinking about a lot of these great, iconic sequences. Yeah, they are judging the film itself. The ideal situation would have been if Star Wars remained as a standalone fairy tale. No, because then we wouldn't have The Empire Strikes Back. The ideal situation would be that we never got the the Disney Star Wars films. That would be the ideal situation. Fairy tales end. They leave us with the aura of happily ever after. They don't go on and become sagas. If they did, that would totally destroy the aura. Empire is the first mistaken step towards saga, and that's why it quickly finds itself out of its depth. There's nothing else to be told, and that's why the film is so bad. One boring battle joined to another boring battle, and in between we have a film that's in between we have cardboard characters mouthing atrocious dialogue that serves no purpose whatsoever. The strain tells, everyone is straining to do something when there's nothing to do. The third film, The Return of Jedi, redeems itself by trying to finish the story. The prequels are interesting because they're filling in the background, but Empire is caught in no man's land. It is bad, and it should be exposed as such. All this pretending isn't healthy, I don't think. Yeah, we're pretending that Empire Strikes Back is a classic film. Wow. Alrighty then. Okay. This is a question from Will. Who had the better sacrifice, Spock or Data? Spock. Because I don't really remember Data's sacrifice that much. I think he sacrificed himself in Nemesis, right? Are you asking me if I saw episode 2 in the theaters? Yeah, I did. I got a fun story about Star Wars episode 2. I was excited to see it because I wanted to see Jango Fett. And as soon as the Jango Fett scene popped on the screen, my glasses fell apart and they like the lenses and everything like fell out of my frames, and a screw fell into my bag of popcorn and I almost choked on the screw. And so now I can't fucking see anything. And I almost choked on a screw. So yeah, I didn't see the Jango Fett scene that I was looking forward to seeing. So that's my lasting memory of episode 2, Attack of the Clones, is almost choking on a screw and my glasses falling apart. Let's see here. From Will as well. Did you like the Lifeform song? I thought it was annoying. It's not one of my favorite Data moments. Thoughts on Force Vengeance, Firewalker, The Hitman, Hellbound, A Force of One, An Eye for an Eye. Haven't seen Force Vengeance. I have fun with Firewalker in the same vein as something like King Solomon's Mines with Richard Chamberlain. The Hitman, remember not minding that one. Hellbound, it's like the closest you can really get to a Chuck Norris horror film, and I have some fun with that one as well. Haven't seen A Force of One and haven't seen An Eye for an Eye yet either. So, yeah, let's go with another film that someone in the chat mentioned. Let's go with Jurassic Park. You know, since Jurassic Park, the latest installment is going to be coming out pretty soon. Let's see here. By the way, my favorite Jurassic Park film is Jurassic Park. I also like Jurassic Park 3. I think it gets a little too much shit. I think it became popular to hate on that movie because of internet reviewers like Nostalgia Critic dunking on it. So then people felt embarrassed to like Jurassic Park 3. I really do feel that happened with some films. It happened with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I think it's actually a fun adventure movie. No, it's not on par with the first 3, but it's still fun. I don't think it's as bad as a lot of the extreme criticisms over the years have made it out to be. Definitely not as bad as Plinkett's review. I mean, he was trying to act like it was as bad as some of the Star Wars prequels, and I thought that was a stretch. But yeah, I actually enjoy Jurassic Park 3. I think it's a fun creature feature. It's got a good pace to it as well. But Jurassic Park, the first one, is definitely the best one. All right, so 1-star reviews. Dinosaurs come to life in lifeless film. Wow. Saying that Jurassic Park is a lifeless movie. The eye-popping visual effects are the highlight of this tale of a theme park gone mad. The public's endless fascination with dinosaurs made this a top moneymaker, but aside from its visual effects, the film is a seemingly endless yawn fest. Character development is so basic that, except for their ages, you'd have a hard time telling the kids from the adults. Everyone except the dinosaurs are void of personality. Wow, I never really thought that at all about Jurassic Park. You know, like Ian Malcolm and Ellie Sadler and Sam Neill's character, Dr. Grant. Yeah, the void of personality is not what really came to my mind. I mean, even Dennis Nedry's or Samuel L. Jackson's character. That film was just loaded with personality. When the creatures aren't on screen, you're subjected to a screenplay that features dull, one-dimensional characters spouting boring dialogue. I disagree. Steven Spielberg seems to have lost his ability to direct a film. Wow. I would say that happened later in his career, not in the middle of his prime, but okay. That grips an audience with his storytelling, Duel, Jaws, Close Encounters. If you want to see a film with a good story, great characters, interesting dialogue, stay away from Jurassic Park. If special effects are your thing, then by all means, watch and enjoy. I don't think that it's nothing but just special effects. All right. Okay. A very bad script ruins it all. Ironically, the people who made this film assumed that revolutionary CGI would serve as an attraction and of itself, much like the dinosaurs exhibited in the park. I hate that people lack context when it comes to Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park did not have that much CGI in it. It had very little CGI in it. The majority of the effects were done practically with special makeup effects and animatronics. The CGI was there in some scenes to enhance certain effects. It rarely ever replaced effects, and it was not a main attraction. Like, people were not attracted to the original Jurassic Park. I mean, the first film in the series based on the CGI. They didn't even know that there was even that much CGI in it to begin with. But okay. And that the audience wouldn't care about the moronic plot, the horribly bad dialogue, or the total lack of logic. I somewhat enjoyed this film as a child, but I saw it again yesterday, and frankly, I stopped watching it about half the film's length. It was insufferable. Oh, another one of those great people, one of those great critics, great reviewers who don't even finish the film. To me, you can't review. You should not type up an opinion on a film if you haven't actually watched the entire movie. I don't care if you saw it once when you were a kid. That was so long ago. There's no way that you have a good enough memory or recollection of it to give it a fair shake. But okay. Apparently, the moral of the story is that you can't control a zoo filled with dinosaurs. You can control a regular zoo filled with dangerous animals, but for some reason, dinosaurs are tricky. Yeah, because dinosaurs are the same as regular, tigers and bears and lions and penguins, and no, they're not. I mean, we don't have animals in zoos that are the size of a T-Rex or a Brontosaurus. We don't have animals in zoos that are as deadly as intelligent as velociraptors. So yeah, it is tricky. It definitely is tricky. Very tricky and very dangerous. A lot more dangerous than your average zoo animal. And just think about the premise of the film for a second. The man discovers a way to recreate dinosaurs, and his master plan is to charge tickets to a zoo where a handful of tourists can ride a couple of jeeps around the island. That's the plan? How long would that park last? Within 24 hours, the USA or some other government would invade the island, close it down, hijack the entire staff along with animals. Oh, one of these people. Well, this is what would have happened if it was real. It's not real. It's science fiction. Go along for the ride. What's with the security measures? An electric fence a dinosaur could tear apart in a second? Well, what if the power goes down? Your genius isn't clone a dinosaur, but never heard of power shortages? Yeah, I will kind of give this guy that, but I'm willing to look past it because the film is so well written and so well done in other areas. Of course, then come the moronic characters and those obnoxious children. Can anyone even stand children in movies anymore? I can't. At the end of the day, it's a fairly entertaining film during the action bits, but the characters, the dialogue, and the plot are just terrible. Okay, so it's a fairly entertaining film, but it's still 1 out of 10 stars. Okay. All right, I see how it is. All right, so let's go back to the chat here. Da, 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 da. Thoughts on Lone Wolf McQuaid and Code of Silence? Code of Silence, I think, is one of Norris's best, and I also like Lone Wolf McQuaid. That's a good one. Looking forward to the new Jurassic World movie. For a sheer spectacle, yeah, I kind of am because I didn't mind the trailer. I didn't mind the trailer. I think it looks like it could be a fun movie. Could be a fun film. I'm gonna look up John Carpenter's The Thing. Check out the 1-star reviews for that one. And there sure were a lot of bad reviews for that film when it came out. People did not like John Carpenter's The Thing. Like I mentioned at the start of the stream when someone's mentioned Firestarter, they really did not like that movie for whatever reason. But now it's getting the recognition that it deserves. But there's still got to be some haters. All right. This review starts with blah. An ultimately bland, dull, and pointless exercise. As slow-moving as The Big Chill, John Carpenter's version of the Campbell's classic Who Goes There is more faithful to the monster, but ultimately as thrilling as a term paper. Ooh, okay. While the Howard Hawks film rewrote the monster into a simple, marauding, thorough, intelligent being, at least that film built a sense of menace and hurling momentum to its story. The Carpenter's version is slow, talky, dull, and punctuated only by over-the-top silliness that shows his pure obsession with gore puppets. Oh, great. So you're one of the same people that would have called Carpenter a pornographer of violence around the time of the film's release. Good to know. The paranoia of people who may or may not be who they seem plays much better in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, or Planet of the Vampires, or even in Campbell's own story. I've read Who Goes There. It does not play out better in the original story than it does in John Carpenter's The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing, to me, in a lot of ways, is honestly, for me, like the pinnacle of paranoia horror. And Invasion of the Body Snatchers does a decent job. Planet of the Vampires, I don't think it was nearly as good in terms of its paranoia horror. This version is simply so slow, the characters so stilted, and the story so jumpy and plotting that the final act of the film is not a relief. The final act of the film is a relief, not an experience. Wow. I disagree with everything in that review. The film is not plotting. It goes by at a really good pace. It's tense. It's terrific. It's not slow. It's not too talky, and I don't think it's dull at all. Surprised that such a movie can make the IMDb top 250. I watched this movie, given that it ranks pretty solidly amongst the IMDb top 250. I must admit that I'm generally not a big fan of horror movies, but as with all the other genres, if the movie itself is as good or is good and delivers a good experience, e.g. Alien, Scream, Saw for horror, to name a few, I may like it. So this guy likes Saw, but he didn't like John Carpenter's The Thing. Okay. Entirely different is this movie. The effects are okay. Probably good, quite good for the time. Okay. Okay. Robotine's effects in The Thing are okay. I think they're still some of the best effects ever put on film, but all right. However, the story is completely relying on the shock effects derived from the way the thing kills the crew. Otherwise, there is no atmosphere, no tension, nothing. I don't know. Like the whole stuff with the Norwegian camp and the fact that the Norwegians encountered something that was so horrible that one of them actually killed themselves. I don't know. That builds a little bit of tension. Uh, Even despite Ennio Morricone being the composer of the movie, I'm wondering if there's any scene where music is properly used or even creates tension. I am completely flabbergasted at that statement. I mean, you're telling me the thing doesn't have any scene in it that creates tension with its score? The score itself can create tension. If I heard that score right now, I would get tense. If I heard dun 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 dun. Overall, for me, quite a disappointment. I would have expected more from a movie rated that highly. An utterly awful and stupid movie, and I like most horror movies. And all right, I got one more for John Carpenter's The Thing. I've only seen one other film that affected me as badly and as permanently. Pasolini's Solo. What? Somebody actually compared The Thing to Solo. That's a first. A movie where people eat shit. Yeah, and The Thing is just as affecting. There, the film was revolting for a reason. Here, it is just revolting, badly written, and badly acted. Nothing but pure shock and gore and the most repulsive special effects I've ever seen. No story, stupid characters, and patently ridiculous. There are ways to be frightened, but this is about as entertaining as mutilating yourself. I swore that when I saw it back at its release that if John Carpenter had been in the lobby of the theater, I would have punched him for making me feel so thoroughly disgusted. Wow, another one of those people that would have called him a pornographer of violence. This guy would have punched John Carpenter? Yeah, sure you would. Sure you would have, Mr. Badass. Yeah, totally. I would have punched him. You wouldn't have done shit. Guarantee you wouldn't have done shit. Whatever else good he may have done, I may have never been able to have any respect for Carpenter after seeing this. He has talent beyond doubt, but this film also shows that he has heart of pure schlock. I truly hate this movie, and I wish I had never seen it. Wow. All right. Yeah, I agree, Max. I think John Carpenter's The Thing is way better than E.T. Favorite actor in a Spielberg movie? Ooh, that's a good question. Um, there's a lot of Spielberg films, and there's a lot of performances that I really like. I can't really say I have a favorite actor. I really like Robin Williams' performance in Hook, as well as Dustin Hoffman's performance in that film as Captain Hook. And I also really like Roy Scheider in Jaws, and the Robert Shaw as Quint in the same film, as well as Richard Dreyfuss. And I like Richard Dreyfuss in Close Encounters of the Third Kind as well. Of course, Steven Spielberg. He directed the Indiana Jones films, and I love Harrison Ford's performance as Indy in that trilogy. So, yeah, those are just some of my favorite actors in a Spielberg movie. Speaking of dinosaurs, what other dinosaur movies have you seen other than Jurassic Park? Carnosaur films. I've seen all three of those movies. The first film was all right until the ending, which sucked. I like the second and third films as fun, over the top, direct to video time wasters. Seen Adventures in Dinosaur City, which is basically a low budget Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles ripoff, but with dinosaurs. I haven't seen Tammy and the T-Rex yet, but I do want to see that. I have that on in 4K actually. I'm actually curious to check that one out, especially the R-rated version. There's an R-rated version of Tammy and the T-Rex. I guess you could say the Super Mario Brothers movie from 1993 is a dinosaur movie. So I've seen that one. Um, there's probably some other ones that I've seen too, but those are the ones that I can think of off the top of my head. Let's probably gonna round things up. I think I'm gonna round things up with some 1-star reviews for 2 more iconic remakes. Might as well end it with the trifecta. So let's go with The Fly. David Cronenberg's The Fly. Another one of my all-time favorite films. Had a really good time seeing that in the theater in 35 millimeter at a theater in Portland, Oregon called the Hollywood. And it was so awesome to meet Chris Walas in person. Like, I met him in person. I got his autograph, and I told him how much that I appreciated his work. And I also told him that he did a great job directing The Fly too. So it was really cool. And he acknowledged that, and he was very thankful for my comments, and he signed a makeup effects book that I have, and he even drew a little gremlin on it. Yeah, that's definitely one of my few really great memories that I have of like meeting people who were involved with iconic films like David Cronenberg's The Fly. So, okay. Ooh, the most horrible movie in my life. For some reason, obsessive filmmakers make horrible movies and end up taken as works of genius by many. This is one case. This movie is disturbing like none I have ever seen to date. It is not rated on this website, but it is obviously R for nudity, violence, and gore. I don't know what this person is talking about. It is rated. Yeah. Yeah, it's an awesome movie. It's rated R. The genre is called biological horror or body horror. What actually means nothing. So I prefer the first. What? Body horror doesn't mean nothing. What is this guy talking about? This movie kind of relies on gruesome effects more than anything else, and the dread of being infected and losing a grip on the human body. And this movie sets the standard. The acting of Goldblum and Davis are at the level of a low-budget movie. Oh, come on. Really? You're going to say the original is better, and you're going to tell me the acting in the original Fly is better than what Goldblum and Davis bring to the table in the remake? I don't mind the original Fly, but the acting in that can't even hold a candle. It's not even remotely close. Like, that's what I would call acting in a low-budget movie. What, in a sense, this movie is, except it had a big budget for the first time for a movie of this genre. Well, actually, no, it wasn't really a massive, gigantic budget for a film. And it wasn't the first time that a film like this had a budget this high. And that's what makes it exceptional. A lot of care was given into the effects and makeup. Cronenberg's editing is as bad as your typical 80s movie. The editing is excellent in The Fly. And some big mistakes were made in making the final edit, leaving important relevant scenes out. Okay, what are these important and relevant scenes that were cut? Can you elaborate on that? Special care was given into making the main character likable, although the main actor is anything else but likable. For Cronenberg, it is a tragic love story, but in my opinion, it's hard to tell a love story when you put so much weight on gruesome close-ups. I don't know. That's the whole point. It's to show how tragic things wind up when it comes to Seth Brundle and what happens to him. And I think the more gruesome, the more graphic it is, the more tragic it actually becomes. Like that, and the ending of the film still leaves me in tears every time I see it, because it does a great job establishing the love story between Seth and Gina Davis's character. And once he mutates into this fly and he becomes more fly than man, and he's unable to control himself, it's a very tragic thing. And then you have the whole ending when she has to blow his head off. Like that's some really rough stuff. So no, I don't think it makes it hard to tell the love story. The movie makes no effort in hiding the hideousness of the Fly character. In fact, it puts it right in your face. Yeah, that's the point. That's the point of the Fly remake. That's what it's supposed to do. Let's see here. Yeah, I don't see any more reviews for that one. But let's go with another remake. And then I think that'll probably be a good place to end the stream once we get done talking about that. Yeah, Lawrence. Yeah, The Fly 2 was good. I really think The Fly 2 is an underrated sequel. Yeah, the part with the dog was so sad. That was another rough scene for sure. I love the effects work in The Fly 2 as well. Very creative. And I love the ending. I love the finale of that film. It's very unique because the monster is the hero. You rarely ever see that in that kind of film. And he kicks a lot of ass. It melts a dude's face off, crushes a guy's head in an elevator, breaks a guy's back. It's a real crowd pleaser. Yeah, fusion of Brundlefly and Telepod successful. That was also tragic too. Now he was doubly fucked. But now let's talk about a germ warfare test that they fucked up. Let's talk about the Blob remake from 1988. The last of what I like to call, and what many like to call, the trifecta of horror remakes. Another film that's gotten more accolades as the years have gone by. Wow, it only has a one-star review. Awful remake. The film starts off well, but instead of a good creepy monster movie, decides it wants to be about a silly government conspiracy. The mixing of genres doesn't work. I see that it totally flopped at the box office. I also see in the forums I frequent, it's never mentioned as being a worthy remake. Both of these things are well deserved. It's never mentioned as a worthy remake? I see it mentioned all the time. But okay. It isn't really that much about the government conspiracy. That's only a very small portion of the plot. So I don't know why the writer here, the critic, is harping on that so much. Since there was only one-star review of that, I mean, trying to think of another remake. Could do Night of the Living Dead, but that already has kind of like a divisive kind of thing. I personally think the 1990 Night of the Living Dead is better than the original, but that's just me. Why not? Let's end with the film that is plastered all over my hat. Let's talk about the original, the iconic, classic Halloween. The night no one comes home. That's actually Halloween 3. That would definitely have a lot of bad reviews, that's for sure. There's no Michael Myers, 1 star. It's the night he came home. So let's see here. This one's called I'm Sorry. I'm sorry, but this may have been scary in 1978 when it came out, but in modern times, it just doesn't hold up. The only interesting scene in the entire movie is the opening scene where Michael kills his sister Judith wearing his Halloween mask. The most startling moment in the whole movie is when his parents rip the mask off to see their son killed their daughter. The film goes downhill from there and doesn't pick up until the last 15 minutes, but by then it's too late, and we, the audience, have lost all interest in the story. There's barely any character development, and people always rave about Laurie being such an exceptional heroine, and when there really isn't much to her. I'm sorry to disagree with everyone terrified by this movie, but if you want a great horror movie, go watch The Shining or Rosemary's Baby. I'm not going to disagree with The Shining. I mean, I think that's a classic as well, but I mean, Rosemary's Baby, like, that's one that I don't think is really that scary nowadays. The scarier thing is the director, because he's a fucking rapist scumbag. Can I even say that in the stream? Let's see here. Halloween, an old truth and a new reality. John Carpenter is the director I admire the most. This film is awful. It is without a story and it is mind-numbingly boring. The character Michael Myers is evil. That's it. No dimensions to him. It's a boring character. There's virtually no story in this film. For the better part of the duration, people walk around and very slowly in long scenes. They think they see something and it's gone again. They think it's their friends messing around. They back up into something harmless that spooks them. All of the cliches. It's completely bereft of intellectual stimulation. It sucks, plain and simple. Okay, all right. People who have views like this need to get some fucking historical context. I'm so tired of seeing takes like this. Read up on what you're talking about. Stop being unbelievably fucking lazy when it comes to your criticisms or your takes on a film. Actually look at what kind of films came out around the time of Halloween. Don't judge it based on the cliches you see now that happened and took place after the film. Judge it based on what was around then. I know it's hard. I know it takes some research. I know it takes some extra time, but trust me, it's worth it. You'll have a much greater appreciation for film, especially if you love films. And I know a lot of people who write stuff like this on IMDb, they love films, they love cinema. If you really love film as much as you say you do, then you owe it to yourself to get that historical context so you know what you're talking about. And you give it a fair shot. And you're not just comparing it to what kind of films that have come out around the time that is current. They're not just comparing it to now. Well, nowadays, every horror movie does that stuff, but Halloween did all that first. I don't care. Okay, all right, well then fuck you then. Seriously. If you're going to have that attitude, you can go fuck yourself. I don't care. I'm not watching this film 30 years ago. I'm watching it today. It doesn't matter. You should still have the perspective and should still understand the context. I'm watching it today. When I sit down and watch a movie, I want to be told a story. I do not want a lesson in film history. Once again, go fuck yourself. You're part of the fucking problem, if you ask me. People cling to old truths. Somehow Halloween became a holy cow. Everyone and their little brother would tell you that Halloween is a classic. So everyone's been telling each other that for 30 years. Don't believe them for a second. It's like cave art in the Renaissance. It sucks, plain and simple. No, your review sucks, plain and simple. Because you won't do research. You're like, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get historical context. I don't care. And with Halloween, I didn't watch it all the way through until many, many years later. I saw Halloween 3 first before I even saw John Carpenter's Halloween. But the first time I saw Halloween was like on Bravo. Like when it was airing on Bravo. And speaking of Bravo, does anyone here remember Bravo? Do you remember that network? Is that even a network anymore? Does that even still exist? So, yeah, I saw it on Bravo. And I don't even know if I saw the whole thing. I think I only saw part of it. And then I saw the whole thing finally on VHS many, 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 many years later. But starting to run low on energy, running out of steam. But I'm going to mention one more thing. Does anyone in the chat remember Bravo's scariest movie moments? You know, that special that used to air on Bravo around like the time of Halloween, you know, in October. Like Bravo's top, I think it was like top 100 scariest movie moments, or then they would have like a spin-off that was like 50 more scary movie moments or something. Like I used to watch that like all the time. Like a lot of my teenage years, like around the Halloween time period, around the time of Halloween. I remember watching Scariest Movie Moments, and I would recommend anyone who's into horror films try to track that show down, because it's in a lot of ways it's kind of like I love the 80s, but like horror. It's all horror, and they all talk about horror movie moments, and they talk about horror films. So, yeah. I also remember AMC's like Fright Fest or something, or they used to play a lot of stuff. I think that's how I first saw The Fly 2, actually, was on AMC. But yeah, anyway, thank you, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in, um, dealing with my low energy, and also dealing with these whack 1-star reviews and the bizarre world of Neil Breen. And until next time, until the next stream, I will see you later. See ya.